Hey everyone, what's up and welcome. Today we are back and it is officially less than 24 hours until the launch of the Battlefield 6 open beta. The world is excited, preloads are available, and the good news is they let you pass the main menu screen and you can actually get into the beta and start tweaking all of your settings so you hit the ground running come the launch of the beta. I know at the EA event where they revealed Battlefield 6, a lot of the streamers were actually saying that the settings are quite complicated and there's quite a bit to go through, and so I've kind of gone through most of it as much as I could without actually playing the game and testing out specific settings. And so I wanted to go over a bunch that I think you guys should be changing before you get into the beta, because I think they're important and most of you guys will want to change these important settings. This isn't a full settings guide or breakdown. I don't want to put out information that I'm uninformed on, but there are clear things within the settings that I'm like, I would want to change that, and so we're going to go through those today. I will be putting out a full settings guide of my open beta settings probably tomorrow or the day after, once I can actually get in game and start testing things out. So if you guys want to be tuned in for that, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. You'll get notified when the video goes out, and I plan on posting a lot more Battlefield 6. So yeah, I'm going to start things here in the gameplay tab. The accessibility I'm going to skip over because it touches on pretty much every subcategory below, and for the sake of being organized and you following, let's get it started. Hold to toggle settings. This is the first one I opted to change. There's quite a few settings in here, but all of them are pretty good. Honestly, all of them are good, and the only two that I've decided to change are pretty optional. But request to revive and skip revives, these are basically hold functions. So if you were to get killed on the battlefield, you'd have to like hold spacebar or whatever key it is on your controller in order to respawn if you wanted to skip the opportunity to be revived. This makes it so you don't have to hold the key, because you know we're going to be dying a lot. You could just tap the key, it'll start filling up the bar to respawn, and if you wanted to cancel it, you would just tap it again. It just saves you from constantly having to hold down a button. Coming on down, in terms of mouse sensitivities, by the way, this is actually a super nice feature they've added into the game. If you guys look over on my right side here, like behind face cam, it tells you at what DPI, how many centimeters and how many inches per 360 it is per sensitivity. So if you were ever wondering where use a calculator out of a game, you won't need to in this game. You could just directly see it, which I think is a super awesome quality feature. Just something to keep note of before you get on in. Double tap forward sprint, I'm pretty sure this is off by default, but if it's not, I'd be turning it off. Crouch toggle sprint, this is actually on stand by default, and I'm gonna explain how both of the variants work. In Battlefield 6, there's a goblin run. You can sprint while crouched, which I think is a great feature, but if it's on the stand option, which is default, pretty much every time you click sprint while you're crouched, you're gonna stand up and start sprinting, like full form. But if you set this to crouch, you can start sprinting while you're crouched. So if you're crouched and you click sprint, you'll start sprinting. This doesn't mean you can't sprint while crouched with the stand function on. It just means that you need to start sprinting and then click crouch if it's on this function. I don't see myself getting stuck in crouch. I have a hold to crouch key, and I'm sure a lot of people will set their crouch to hold on controller. So that's why I would prefer to have this on crouch. I think the mindset is though, they just don't want people getting stuck in the crouch and they're sprinting. They're like, what the heck? Why am I still crouched? They're like, I want to be standing up. So that's why they have it on stand by default. Next up, we have double tap crouch for sprint slide. I do not want to be double tapping my crouch to hit a slide. That would be very annoying. It's on by default. I turned it off. This basically makes it so it's a tap to slide. That's where I'm going to be leaving things. Just as note, once again, if I brush over a bunch of settings and you're like, oh my god, you skipped so many, just know I didn't touch them. I'm only showing you guys the ones that I made the effort to change. Like I said, the full settings guide will be out and I'll go over every single setting regardless of if I touched it or not. Moving on to controller, I'll get into everything much more thoroughly later, but as for your sticks, your joysticks, and what you're going to be wanting to tweak, down here you have your dead zones. And I've heard also, by the way, the vehicles, they drive great from what I've heard by default on default settings, so you guys don't have much to worry about there. But your center dead zones, I wanted to be cranking these down to probably 5, 2 to 5, somewhere around there. Play around with it. Obviously you don't want your stick just drifting into oblivion, but I'd be tweaking it down. I'm going to move things over to mouse and keyboard really quickly, just because we're going to be talking about the same control settings, so no point talking about them twice. In terms of sensitivities, like I said, I haven't even set these because I haven't hopped in game yet. But if you guys are wondering what I do play on, generally around 45 centimeters per 360. I play at 1600 DPI. In terms of flying, the invert vertical flight for aircrafts is on by default, and I prefer this, but I know there's a lot of people who might operate mentally in the opposite. So, you know, if you're holding W or holding forward on your joystick, you're gonna fly down. If you're pulling back on your joystick or pulling back on S, you're gonna fly up. Some people would just prefer that if I click forward, you go up, and if I click down, I go down. So I think when it comes to flying, that's gonna be the biggest setting that really influences how comfortable people are in their jets or in their helis. The only other setting I changed specifically in this tab was down in the vehicle third person field of view. I made sure to crank that as high as possible. I just want max FOV. The only other setting I changed to prep was just in the UI keybinds. The push to talk, if you play on controller, this will also apply to you. It's caps lock by default. I just do not want to use caps lock as my push to talk key, so I changed it to what I normally use. Coming on down to the graphics settings, I've personally set things to custom and graphics quality to custom. Under the graphics settings specifically, I've opted to change everything to low. I mean, this game has a lot of destruction. At the EA event where all the streamers were revealing everything, they were definitely playing on some higher end rigs. I mean, EA wants to make their game look good, so they're not going to put them on some low end PCs. But I imagine this game will be not terribly optimized. At least I don't think it will be from what I saw. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be the easiest game to run. There's a lot of destruction, a lot of reactive elements, and so I've opted for all low settings. From what I've heard, Battlefield 6 looks great still on low settings. The only thing I've decided to leave on high still is my texture quality. I do not like looking at mashed potatoes, and so for that reason, I keep my textures high, but everything else should be aiding in more frames. Next up in the advanced tab under graphics, my anti-aliasing I've turned off. It's on by default. This just makes edges look a little bit sharper, and some people like it, some people don't like it. Some people prefer a more smooth and less kind of like visually aggressive look to their game, and so it makes it look a bit more matted out. But anti-aliasing off, things are a bit more sharp, characters have more bold outlines. I've turned it off, and you get better performance. DLSS, I've turned that on and I've set it to a balanced quality. I still kind of want to, you know, enjoy the visual fidelity of this game. And my performance overlay, I've turned this on simple. You can see up here above me, it just gives you some nice statistics regarding your GPU and your CPU and your computer. Keeping it moving, your standard field of view now, this is where I've cranked this up. Your vehicle third person field of view, like I said, we already cranked this, but I cranked it to the max. Weapon field of view, I didn't touch it, but I just left it on wide. World motion blur, weapon motion blur, camera shake, all of that stuff, I've turned that lowest or off completely. Chromatic aberration, I've turned that off. Your vignette effects, I've turned that off, and film grain as well. Pretty much everything that's just going to take away from visual clarity, I've just turned it off. Onto my display, I'm playing on borderless. There's full screen optimizations. I think borderless is fine. In Battlefield, it makes tabbing out way less jarring. And VSync, I've also turned that off. In terms of my interface and HUD under the visual section, soldier HUD motion and vehicle HUD motion. These, some people might want to keep these on. Like I said, I personally decided to turn off. Your HUD icons, your mini map, probably your gun and your ammo count, etc. That stuff will kind of jiggle around. I'm assuming when explosions go off or when you're hard sprinting, it might have like a subtle little like that kind of effect. Very minimally, but some people might like that for immersion. I've opted to turn it off, so they're just strictly static. They will not move. It's just less distracting. And there's something I changed on the advanced HUD settings, and that is the show kills made in your kill feed to all. Right now, by default, it's set to squad in nearby, so nearby people and squad mates, but anything that goes down in the game, I want to know who's killing who. If you scroll all the way down as well, there's this other little hidden setting called show compass and multiplayer. I wanted this on. I think a compass is fantastic. A lot of times when I'm playing with squad mates and I see someone, I like to yellow actual like coordinates, like, oh, he's south 255, rather than just being like over there or at that building. It's just, it makes for much more precise comms, and so I think it's actually a very useful setting to turn on. Back to the graphics tab, all the way at the bottom, the last thing I touched in this category was my crosshair and indicators. The crosshair, I've opted for a green crosshair. I haven't actually tweaked it in terms of how big and the opacity and intensity yet, because I haven't seen it in game, but in terms of color, I do recommend changing this to something more visible. I'm pretty sure it's white at default. Some people like a white crosshair, but I think, you know, in terms of just identifying the center of your screen, it's nice to have a more vibrant color. In terms of the actual coordinates for this color, it's 0255O. And that's all I touched on the crosshair so far. Moving on to our audio settings, sound systems, I've set this to headphones. I'm gonna be playing on headphones, so I just want to make sure I'm getting exactly what I want. There are some other audio mixes. I just wanted to say I'm excited to actually test these out. They seem to offer quite a bit of variance in sound profiles, and so it'll be interesting to listen. But if we scroll on down more, this setting I actually think is fantastic. Under the voice chat position mode, by default, it's flat. So if anybody's talking in your squad, you're just gonna flat out hear them. No directional audio, no proximity variance in their audio. You'll just straight up hear them in both ear cups. But I opted to change this to directional just because it provides a bit more info. It'll also be a bit more immersive. If my homie is talking to me in game and he's on the right side of me, I'll get directional voice comm audio from the right ear cup. I think that's good because then I also have instant awareness of where my teammate is in relation to me. If he was asking for help, like help me, there's someone on me, I know he's to the right of me. I guess in that sense, you could set it to in-world setting as well, and you'll also get kind of like distance-based proximity variance in his audio. That I think is a bit overkill. Like I would prefer to just always be able to hear my squad no matter where they are on the map, but at least I know what direction they are coming from with directional. So that's where I put it. Like I said, I changed my push to talk key binding. Another setting I've actually made the effort to turn off was subtitles. I think Battlefield 6 is a visually stunning game. It's very immersive from all the footage I've seen. It's just cinema, and I want to feel that. So I've decided to turn off subtitles only because I went in here and I realized how many things were on. If you like subtitles, you could tone it down. About instructor subtitles, squad, friendly subtitles, like all those are on. That would just be a lot of text plastered on my screen constantly. We're in the final stretch of this video. We're gonna move on over to the systems tab now. If you've made it this far and you guys are enjoying the video, a thumbs up is always appreciated. It's the best way to know you guys actually enjoyed the videos, and let's keep it moving. Anonymous mode. This mode, I mean, it's personal preference. If you prefer not to see the names of people in your lobbies, you could turn it on. If you don't want people to see your name, you could turn this on as well. I actually always like anonymous mode. Like whether I streamed or didn't stream, it's just nice to have your name anonymous. This way, when you kill someone 10 times in a row and he gets pissed off, he doesn't try to make your life a living hell. So I keep this on always. And that's pretty much going to do it. There's nothing else in the extras tab. That's going to do it for all of the settings in Battlefield 6 that I think you guys should change before you hop into the open beta. Like I said, stay tuned for the full settings guide. I'm going to go through everything in detail. And if you guys don't want to miss that, like I said, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be streaming all day tomorrow, like on launch of the beta. I'm pretty sure it goes live at like 1 in the morning. I think at 1 in the morning. I'm going to be playing all night. So if you guys want to catch me for the drop and be there for the excitement, link to my Twitch is in the description. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for all the support. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Keep up safe.